If you clicked on this video, that means that it's time for you. Thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for following your spirit. It's time for you to make a change in your life. It's time for you to remember who you are and how powerful you are. And to do that, we must remove the constraints of the past that keep you from being who you really are. I won't be editing any of these videos, so if I make a mistake, bear with me. It's all part of the process. So if you don't mind, before I start, take a breath with me. And the reason that's so important, especially for this video, is because we're talking about how to stop being so impulsive. That's the answer right there. Stop the video. That's all we need. But really though, it's really gonna come down to that. Can you breathe? There's a certain process that happens for impulses. And I'm assuming if you've clicked on this video, you've probably been watching scientific videos for a while about how your brain works and why you do the things you do. And you probably already know why you do the things you do from a scientific level. If you don't know, I'll give you like a 5-second brief right here. Neurotransmitters fire when we do actions, and then our brain tends to go the route that has already been created because it takes the least amount of work. So that's why we do the things we've already done before, hence impulsive behavior. That was probably a little bit longer than 5 seconds, but you get the gist, right? If you didn't get it already, there it is. So that's all good and that's all great, right? Now we know why we do what we do, so what? We know why we are the way that we are, so what? We can know everything, right? We have so much information, we have infinite knowledge. If we wanted to, we could look up the orbit of the Earth, we could look up, the chemistry of our DNA, whatever, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not trying to be a scientist. I'm just here experiencing this life with you and trying to make the biggest difference that I can for myself so I can share it with you. And what I've come to find in my journey is every time that I deal with something impulsive, I have to stop. Otherwise I do it. But how do you stop? There's a moment between thought, trigger, emotional response, and action. And our job, our work, is to increase that moment so that we can come forth in our intention. So that probably sounded a little bit woo-woo. I don't know. It sounded however it sounded for you. But let me clarify that a little bit. There's a moment between when we have a thing that happens and that triggers an impulse, right? And an impulse is just being sent through your body, this emotional experience being sent through your body, right? And then once you receive that experience, we're driven to take an action that aligns with the impulse. But there's always going to be a moment in between, right? Scientists say that it's the prefrontal cortex, right? We can call it that for now, just for the sake of this video. So how do you strengthen your prefrontal cortex? How do you just strengthen the decision-making process so that in that moment, you can now choose to do something that's not what you already did? Well, that comes down to practice. How do you get stronger physically? Well, you have to go lift the weights at the gym, right? Or you have to go lift the things outside. It doesn't have to be anywhere, but the principle remains, you must develop that muscle. It's a muscle. And so not being impulsive, right? The lack of impulsivity is an absence of impulsion, an absence of impulsivity is a presence of intention, okay? So you're strengthening your muscle of intention. So we know that meditation increases the gray matter in our prefrontal cortex, okay? We know this. This is science. This isn't woo. This is science. And science is great, and science is a measurable result of whatever we experience in our lives, right? I'm not science-based only, okay? But this is something that is measurable. So whether you're scientific or whether you're spiritual or whether you're identify as any of those things, it doesn't matter. We know that meditation works, and it makes you stronger in your mind so that you can make choices with intention. So that's one thing, meditation. How else do we fight our impulses? Because it's a moment, right? An impulse is a moment in which you're met with an experience, and how do you overcome that experience in that moment? Because all you are is the way that you meet your moments. So you have to strengthen who you are. You have to strengthen, when I am confronted with this intensity of experience, how do I handle intense experiences? We're trained to believe that we're this fixed thing that just is a reaction to the world happening to us. That's not true. It's not true. If that was the case, then nobody would ever be able to do anything other than what they've already done. And we know that's not true. We've seen it. We know that. So then why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep falling into the same patterns of what's already happened? Because we need to learn our lesson so that we can move forward. We all deal with impulse. Nobody does not deal with impulse. It's just that over time, you become more and more related to yourself as being powerful, as being strong, as being the one that is no longer at the effect of your feelings and whatever experiences are happening to you in your life. You overcome the intensity and you no longer allow it to overcome you. So that can look like really anything that you're pushing yourself. You're making you're fighting that impulse in a way that is supporting your health, your well-being, things that you know are good for you. You're doing things that are good for you, that you know in your heart, in your mind, in your body, that you can feel are good for you, not just right now, but for tomorrow and for the next day and for the next day, for the next week, for the next month. Things that continue to feel good after you do it. Because those things, not only are those things going to be the things that save you from impulse, those things are going to be the things that make you a better person. Those things are going to be the things that make you easier to be around. Those things are going to be the things that make your relationships with people better. Where you stand for yourself and your health and your wellness. You just start to flow into life, and impulses no longer have the same effect on you because you know yourself to be not the impulse. You're not the impulse. You're not the brain that created the impulse. You have a brain that creates an impulse. You have a body that creates feeling. You have these things, but you are not these things. But if you choose to identify as these things, I'll tell you what, you're going to be right. You're going to prove yourself right over and over again until you finally realize that you're not these things. So, actionable results. All that's great. What are the actions? Actions. Okay. Action right now. Take a deep breath with me. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. Thank you for honoring your spirit. Thank you for listening. You are following that which serves you. You are following that which serves you, and that is what matters, okay? I will only ever stand for that which serves you because that's the only thing that matters. That's the only thing for us in our experience of life. Are we honoring our truth? Are we honoring our feeling? Like, not just our bodily feeling as far as in a response to a neurotransmitter, but like our true, like what we know is good for us. Are we doing that for ourselves? It doesn't matter if you try to impose it onto others. It doesn't matter if you're studying it, like you're learning about it. That's cool, but are you doing it? Are you practicing the things that you know you have to practice for yourself to operate at your highest level? Okay? Because once you start doing those things, your life changes dramatically. And the longer you do it, the more you identify with that aspect of yourself versus the past aspect of yourself, which is fine. And you must accept that you have a past, that you have done things before, and be responsible for the lessons that they were trying to teach you in that time. But it's time to move forward. It's time to move forward. Stop identifying with those things. You are the power. You are the one that says what you're going to do in your life. You are that, okay? So start identifying with that and be responsible for how powerful you are, because here's what happens in this world. You ask for something, and eventually it comes to you, okay? You pull something with your word, and if your word is strong enough, because you've been training that muscle, because you've been honoring how powerful you are, because you've been identifying with your power and not just throwing your word away like a bunch of poo-poo. Once you do that, you become so strong in your word and so strong in your intention that you can just speak something into existence, and it just manifests into your life. It just manifests into your life. And we'll get more into how that happens in later videos, but just know that this is like science is finally catching up to this reality that they've known since the beginning, since ancient Egypt, that we're all powerful, that we're all energy. But we are so powerful that we can thwart our own power and then forget that we did it. And forget that we were the ones that thwarted it to begin with. And we identify with the thwarting and not the one who created it. So remember how powerful you are. Remember how powerful your word is. When you create the intention, when you allow yourself to flow and to honor yourself, to honor your well-being, to love yourself, that's when life starts to happen. That's when things come to you, and impulses will they'll still come. They'll still come. Trust me, they'll still come. But you won't be there. You won't be there to receive them anymore. They will be like nothing, like a little spam call, like a text message, like a Discord notification from a bot who's trying to steal your crypto. Something like that. It'll just fade into nothingness. And then your work is to do the practice, to meditate, to eat well, to breathe, to come into nature, to connect, to say the things to the people that you love that you know you should say, to stand up for yourself, to honor your spirit, honor your heart. May peace be with you. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you like this video. Leave a like, whatever you want to do, leave a comment. But just remember how powerful you are, and thank you. You are love and you are light.